Hello everyone, great to have you on the channel here of MeteoMark Weather. We have a lot to talk about in the tropics. Could we actually see the tropics actually produce a tropical storm in the next week or so? It's starting to look more promising as we have three areas. Will this area in the Caribbean ever develop? We'll get into all the details, and we could have some sort of tropical storm or maybe even hurricane out here in the MDR. And we got a new weather pattern here for North America. Let's get into it. All right, so we'll start off with the European model here. We actually are looking at three areas. Of course, we're still looking at our area here from the Western Caribbean into the Gulf. I think this will have better chance into the Gulf, so we're going to have to watch much of the Gulf here as we go into next week, into the following week. This is going to be a slow mover. Lots of rainfall moving your way. And then here into just east of the Lesser Antilles and then over by the Cape Verde Islands here. So let's just put this into motion. You can see there is our main wave. Just zoom out here so you can see everything. And we'll just zoom back in just slightly. So there's our main wave south of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola. That will continue to move towards the northwest. Lots of cloudiness and showers. The good news is it's probably not going to become a tropical storm by the time it reaches Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. It's going to pass to your south, but it will bring some heavy rain as we head into the 4th, into the 5th here. Here's our next couple systems. Watch out because these have a better chance, I think, of developing. And then look at this. As we head towards the 5th into the 6th, there it is. Our system is crossing the Yucatan Peninsula. Let's just focus on this system first. And there it is, re-emerging. And this is where I think things could go a little bit better for the system because we have less wind shear, which is great for a developing system. And then it starts to stall out here. And I think Texas, here we go through the 10th. We're out, a good 7 days here. But I think the Western Gulf is going to have a little bit of an issue here, and watch out because a lot of this moisture is going to be heading back towards Florida here. It's going to be drier to the north here. Things are going to go a little crazy here. The European model making this a hurricane here into the Western Gulf, and then just literally stalling it before pushing to the northeast here towards Florida on the 13th. So that's a trend we're going to have to keep a close eye on. The GFS has been hinting at that the last couple days as well. As we go back towards the west here, or should I say the east, you can see September 5th into the 6th, into the 7th. This system here is going to be riding a little bit low here towards, say, the Lesser Antilles. We head into the 7th, into the 8th, and we're going to be looking at the Cape Verde Islands here as well. So let's just zoom out. It looks like both of these systems have a pretty good chance, but look at this big blasting one here out off the coast of Africa. That one will probably barrel to the north here. So the stronger the system, the more chance it does have to find a weakness in the subtropical ridge here. Here's another storm that could be at this point, and we'll be watching our system here over the northern Lesser Antilles through the 11th and the 12th. So we have plenty of time to watch these systems here. But as you can see, we head towards the middle of the month here, the 13th. Things are looking a lot more active out here as we just line up one system right after another. And we'll be watching this stalled area from the Gulf all the way off the southeast coast. And before we continue with the GFS model, don't forget, smash that like button if you made it this far in the video and you like it. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted when I come out with any one of my future weather video updates. Let's continue. All right, so let's take a look at our GFS model here. We'll compare it to our European model. You can see our wave showing up really nicely here as it approaches Jamaica into the 5th, into the 6th. It looks like the heaviest showers remain south. Let's just put that back into motion again. There it is, the 5th into the 6th. We do get some heavier showers near Jamaica, lighter showers near the Cayman Islands. I think this is where we do start to see it may try to develop before it reaches Belize here. So watch out. The GFS is hinting at that and then becoming a bigger system as we head over into the Bay of Campeche over here as we head through the 10th and 11th. This system really starting to bog down. And the GFS is kind of hinting, look at that, we go through the 13th into the 14th. Look at this. We could be looking at a prolonged period of storminess. I don't think the models quite know what to do with this storm, but it does. You can see the GFS trying to pummel it northward here as we go through the middle of the month. So all persons, Mexico, Yucatan Peninsula northward to the Gulf. Should be watching this system very close. Wow, look at this. The last frame, we have a major hurricane out here. So let's just back it out for this system as we head into the 5th, into the 6th. Look at this. We have a lot of tropical moisture, but it does start to encounter a little bit of dry air and some wind shear here, according to the GFS. Here's a couple other areas that we're going to be watching out here by the Cape Verde Islands. So watch this as we put this into motion. There's a couple of these systems that could flare up. There's one towards the 14th that's showing up here around just south of Hispaniola, east of Jamaica. And then this system looks like it's going to form potentially into a hurricane. Look at that as it barrels westward here. This is probably one of the most promising areas as the dry air, the dust, the Saharan dust lifts out of this region. Keep in mind, this is pretty far out, so a lot can change with this, but GFS is showing a major hurricane right out in the middle of the Atlantic. Behind it, it doesn't look like too much. Let's just back that up, but yeah, these systems out here will have to, it looks like the second system gets absorbed. Let's just take a look at that again. Yeah, there it is. We have two systems very close together, these two areas, and it looks like it gets absorbed into the main system and then heads west. A lot can change. Stay tuned. I think things will be getting much more active here. And sea surface temperature analysis here, thanks to Tropical Tidbits. Yeah, lots of warm air, or warm water, I should say, up in the North Atlantic here, but the Gulf is warming up. The Caribbean is just boiling, and look at the MDR out here. It's continuing to warm. And here we are with the GFS. You can see as we continue to go out here in time, Thursday, September 5th here into Friday, it really does look conducive here for development. And here's our big system here into the Western Caribbean. Big surge of tropical moisture here across the southeast, and we'll continue to watch this as we go in time. Obviously, the GFS is wanting to develop these two systems out here with another huge tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa. And then, of course, the GFS running our Caribbean system here into Central America. Now, let's see, as we continue to go out through next week, yeah, we could be looking at some systems out here. You know, the models keep hinting at this. Look at the Gulf here. Could we see moisture surging from whatever happens to our Caribbean system? It's quite possible. And could we actually have a tropical system up here by the Azores? It is quite possible. One thing to note is the lack of dry air out here. And looking at our European model here, as we continue in time, there's our Caribbean system running right into Central America by the end of this week. Belize down to Honduras and Nicaragua. Now look at here, obviously very well parallel to the GFS. We're watching our MDR out here for a couple of our systems. That tropical moisture, you can see the low pressure getting into the Bay of Campeche here. Tropical moisture surging up across Florida as we continue into early next week. Now, that is interesting. The good news is it looks like for the most part, this is September 11th, it's going to keep most of the dry air across the northern Gulf. So cutting off that tropical moisture, except for the Florida Peninsula up through the Bahamas here. We could be talking about two tropical storms, maybe even a hurricane out here by the middle part of next week, right around September 11th, 12th, and 13th. So stay tuned. Things are, I think, going to start to become more active here. And here we go. Thanks to Tropical Tidbits for our CanSIPS model here. As we go through the rest of September, that is what we're expecting. A lot of activity out here in the MDR that's going to propagate westward here. Even the Gulf up the southeast and the east coast as well. And going into the Caribbean here, look at this. So that tropical wave that's going to be potentially turning into something through the weekends here. We'll watch it here from Belize, Yucatan Peninsula down to Honduras. But there it is. This is where it's going to become a big rainmaker. From Belize on northwestward here up and down the Mexican coast. This is where we could see upwards of 125 to 200 plus millimeters of rainfall. We're looking on the order there of about 5.5 all the way up to 12 inches of rainfall. Back here through Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, you'll see lesser amounts. You'll still, in the eastern part of Jamaica, get upwards of 100 millimeters. That'll get you up towards 3.5 to 4 inches. The Bahamas looking drier except the extreme northern Bahamas. And then as we get into the eastern Caribbean here, there's our wave moving westward. We have that other wave that will possibly be becoming a tropical storm, missing maybe the Caribbean islands here. Then we have another wave that moves in the direction here of the Lesser Antilles towards September 13th here. Most of the islands will average in 45 to as much as 65 millimeters of rainfall, nothing more than, say, an inch and a half on average. And here across the Western Pacific, we are talking about Tropical Storm Yagi here. Look at this system. It's got a lot going for it. It's going to rapidly intensify into a typhoon. This is probably has a chance to become a super typhoon as it heads towards South China here. Look at this. It's going to be barreling right towards Haiku here. So yeah, watch out. This island here, Hainan, could get hit really bad, and then look at it, heads right into South China and becomes a very big heavy rain producer. The only good news is here's the 5th, here's the 6th. It's making landfall on the 6th, and then it's making another landfall the 7th. So the good news is it's moving fast. There does seem to be another system, a couple systems actually behind it here that we're going to have to watch for potential development. One here as we head through the 10th. Up here east of Taiwan, so far Japan, and look at this, South Korea's had a really nice run of some nice dry weather, but look at these tropical waves just lining up right in a row. Look at North Korea up towards parts of eastern China and Russia here. Big frontal boundary, but it mostly misses Seoul, South Korea, all the way down the peninsula here, so that's some great news. But look at this, as we continue in time, we could be looking, wow. Look at this. Let's just back that up. We have two tropical systems here showing up on the European model on the 10th. Now watch what starts to happen. They start to move towards each other. So this is getting to be a very bad time for typhoons here into the Western Pacific. We're going to keep close watch on these. All right, so we're looking at severe weather for your Wednesday. Yeah, look at this. Up across the northern plains, we have a slight risk, general thunderstorms across the south. And nothing too exciting. Look at this for Thursday. Generalized thunderstorms from the Gulf Coast all the way up to the Midwest. All right, so looking at our NAM 3-kilometer future radar here, let's see what's going on as we head into the overnight into Wednesday, making it halfway through the week already, thanks to a short week here, Labor Day. Now, look what's happening here. We're going to be looking at this little bit area of low pressure here in the Western Gulf. It's not going to become anything tropical. That's the good news. But as we continue in time, it is going to cause a lot of rainfall here across Texas, Louisiana, as we head on into the day and evening hours, especially on into Wednesday. And here into Thursday, look at this fire up with the daytime heating. It almost looks like a tropical system, but thankfully it's not, but it will be providing some rainfall here, especially for coastal Texas. And look at, we get most of Louisiana into the act, and even some shower and thunderstorm action here around Florida. And as you can see over the next couple days, for Florida, we are going to be looking at those showers and thunderstorms popping up, especially the afternoon and the evening hours. They die down overnight. And then as we get through the 5th here into Thursday, look at that. Some showers and thunderstorms hanging out over northeast Florida. Now, I want to show you something here. This looks a bit interesting. Could this actually become something subtropical? It's not even on the National Hurricane Center's radar, so to speak. But look at this. It is an interesting little circulation out here. It's more comma-shaped. It's possible it may form something subtropical, so we'll keep an eye on it here. Look at, here's the Outer Banks. Delmarva Peninsula showing up very nicely here on the NAM 3-kilometer future radar. Now, this system up here, let me show you this to you. So we get into, look at this, we can get into early Friday morning. Look at this squall line. That's going to be dropping down through the Ohio Valley, eastern Great Lakes in the Northeast for Friday into Saturday. So here is our precipitation amounts. As I said before, the highest totals are going to be along the Gulf Coast through Florida here. This takes us all the way through the end of next week. Look at this. This is a tremendous amount of rain. If this, which is going to be associated with our Caribbean system, so we're going to be talking about this system for a long time. If this propagates towards Florida or any part of the Gulf Coast, we could quickly get into that 10 to 15 inch total that's sitting across eastern Mexico into the west central Gulf here. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Most areas along the Gulf Coast, I think we'll see 4 to 6 inches with locally higher amounts likely. And then look it up here. This is associated with our storm on, if I just back this up, This is going to be on, and here we go up through parts of the Midwest. You can see there is going to be a lot of rain up here, especially the end of the week into the weekend here from the Ohio Valley up into parts of Northeast and Southeast Canada. Anywhere from about 1.5 inches all the way up to 2.5 inches of rain. If we flip over to the GFS, give you an idea of rainfall over the next, say, couple weeks here. Yeah, the Gulf Coast really getting hammered. There it is up into the Northeast as well. All right, so picking up where our future radar left off, look at this as we head into the 5th, into the 6th. You know the drill across the Gulf Coast region. That's where the tropical moisture is going to be. And what is this out here? Could we actually have something maybe going tropical? We'll have to keep an eye on it here. It's more likely to be a strengthening area of low pressure here. But as we continue to go out here in time, the 7th into the 8th, the common theme is for this moisture to whatever storm this happens across the Western Gulf to continue across Florida. That's some bad news. We have our other system up here into the North Country. So there it is. I just wanted to show you here's the 6th into the 7th. This storm system is going to be dropping across parts of the Ohio Valley into the Northeast, and then forming an area of low pressure. It will tap into some tropical moisture up here. It'll allow this to get drawn in. Unfortunately, this is right around the 7th. This is Saturday. So it's going to be a rainy Saturday as it look at that. It's definitely going to bring some sort of squall line here across upstate New York all the way through Pennsylvania and New England. Thankfully, that does move out mostly by Sunday. And then look at that. We're left with a lot of high pressure through the following week into the 12th. Look at this big high pressure system. But unfortunately, we're still stuck with rainfall here across the Eastern Gulf and Florida. So for Canada up here, what is going on for Canada? We have a big storm system. This is going to be the main story. The one that's going to be hitting the Midwest and the Northeast for Friday into Saturday is also going to be pummeling parts of Ontario here, especially southeastern Ontario and western Quebec here into Friday into Saturday. So watch out. That area of low pressure really starting to develop here. Surging moisture to the north, and that is where we're going to see rainfall totals. I'll get into those. Many areas could approach 100 millimeters. Look at that. And that just forms into an upper level low. Here it is into the 10th. So we could be dealing with this system and then blasting up into combining with that coastal low out here. So this upper level low and coastal low combine over the Canadian Maritimes right around the 11th into the 12th. That's going to bring some heavy rain to New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Nova Scotia as well. The rest of Canada, you do start to get a little bit more stormy in British Columbia and Alberta towards the middle of the month. And our Canadian rainfall amounts are going to be big here across western part of Quebec into eastern Ontario. This is where we could see upwards of 90 to 125 millimeters. Also over here in New Brunswick as well. That's going to be a good solid 2.5 to 5 inches of rain. And before we continue with more weather, check out these awesome, amazing maps that you won't find anywhere else.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning digital professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget in checkout, the discount code option, use my code MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
Temperature outlook here as we go through Wednesday, September 4th. You can see we're going to warm it up here in the Northeast. Upper 70s to near 80. There's those 80s building all the way from the Gulf Coast, all the way up to parts of the Ohio Valley as we head into Thursday here. You can see there is the warmest weather as well as Florida, and then, of course, scorching out west here. But there's some cooler air dropping down 60s here in the northern plains, near 80 into the Northeast. Wow, look at this. Behind the storm system, 60s. That's even towards Cleveland and Erie, Pennsylvania Friday. It's going to be chilly. Into Saturday, we look very fall-like here into the 60s, 70s here to the south, and even the Gulf Coast not breaking out above 90, the 80s. And look at this into Sunday. We're just going to pummel that cooler air, the 60s into, and we don't have Monday yet. The extended forecast for my hometown viewers, Binghamton, Scranton, Sept, Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Take a look at this. This is really nice weather pattern we're in. Mid to high 70s for highs. And look at this. Overnight lows into the upper 40s to low 50s. Saturday, unfortunately, we'll have that frontal boundary moving in. Showers and thunderstorms likely. Probably tapping into some tropical moisture along the U.S. East Coast. We'll have to watch out for that. And then turning cooler, upper 60s as we head into Sunday and early next week. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.